Good morning, Cougars. It's Star Wars Day, and we're talking about The Mandalorian. I'm Mr. York, and today is Monday, so may the 4th be with you. This is episode number 24 of your Chaparral Cougar Network News Safe Distance broadcast. Alright, enough of that. Thanks so much for tuning in. This was supposed to be the first May the 4th that anyone could spend the day at Star Wars Land. I have spent several May 4ths at Disneyland, and I was planning on spending today there this year, but they are closed. I was born in 74 and Star Wars came out in 77, so I was really too young to stand in line, but it was so successful that the Star Wars Episode 4 was re-released in 1980, and I saw it at the drive-in with my family. I'll probably never forget that experience, and I've seen all the rest of the movies in the theater, and most of them several times since, thanks to Disney+, as I'm sure a lot of you have. Many of you have probably seen The Mandalorian by now, since it's become such a huge phenomenon. But if you missed it, or are confused about how this new series fits into the Star Wars universe, our resident Star Wars expert, 8th grader Darren Kawano filed this report. In today's episode, lots of spoilers, you've been warned.
How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
The Mandalorian, also known as Star Wars The Mandalorian, is an American space western web television series created by Jon Favreau and released on Disney+. Now you guys might remember Jon Favreau as the actor who played Happy Hogan, the bodyguard slash valet slash chauffeur of Tony Stark in the Iron Man movies. And so you might not know this, but he was the director of the first two Iron Man movies and influenced the creative direction of those movies along with a lot of other movies that he's made, and is now lending his talent to The Mandalorian. It is the first live-action series in the Star Wars franchise, which means that all of the other series that they've done have been animated, such as Clone Wars. Set 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi Episode 6, and 25 years prior to the events of The Force Awakens, it follows the title character, the Mandalorian bounty hunter Din Djarin, and his exploits beyond the reaches of the New Republic. Now, we don't really know his name until Episode 8 of this series, but I believe that's how you say it. The Mandalorian premiered with the launch of Disney Plus on November 12, 2019, with its 8-episode first season. The series has received positive reviews. A second season is scheduled for release in October of this year, 2020. In April 2020, pre-production work on a potential third season has already begun. For those of you even somewhat familiar with the Star Wars universe, you've heard of Boba Fett, and if you've watched the prequels, you found out that Boba Fett had a dad named Django, who was the basis for the clones purchased to fight the droids in the clone armies. Django died at the hands of the Jedi in Episode 2, and his son Boba dies in Episode 6 in the Sarlacc pit.
Boba Fett? Where?
Where he presumably is still being digested. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order, so the series is after both Django and Boba. Now, I know that was confusing to some people because they thought, well, anytime you see a Mandalorian, you just associate it with Boba Fett because he's the only one we've seen, but as this series points out, there are several in this order. The series depicts a lone bounty hunter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic, and unfortunately does not do much to answer questions about Django and his involvement with the Mandalorians and why he wears their symbol. We learn a little about the clan of skilled warriors and who they've become in the years since Boba's death, but not much prior to that. Pedro Pascal plays Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. You might remember him from the movie Kingsman Golden Circle, if your parents let you watch that weird film. He plays a lone gunfighter and bounty hunter who is sometimes referred to as Mando, which is just more of a generic term used to refer to all the Mandalorians. He is a foundling who was rescued at a young age by Mandalorians during the Clone Wars. Pascal has described his character as Clint Eastwood-esque with advanced combat skills and a questionable moral character. The Child, performed by various puppeteers, is a member of the same unnamed species as the powerful Jedi Master Yoda, with similar Force abilities. The Child is a toddler at age 50. That's so funny. A bounty is offered for his return by the Client. He is found and protected by the Mandalorian while being targeted by other bounty hunters. The star-studded cast includes some really great appearances by several actors that you might be surprised to see in a Star Wars universe. Most notably, Carl Weathers as Grief Karga, an ex-magistrate and leader of the Bounty Hunter Guild who hires the Mandalorian to track the child. You might know Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed from Rocky 1 through 4. Nick Nolte is the voice of Khalil, who is the character behind me, who's a moisture farmer who helps out the Mandalorian in an effort to find peace. And of course, Gina Carano as Cara Dune, a former rebel shock trooper turned mercenary from the now destroyed planet of Alderaan. You guys remember Alderaan? It was destroyed in Episode 4, A New Hope, by the Death Star when they were testing it out to try and get Princess Leia to talk. And this new character that we've never met before, Cara Dune, fought in the Galactic Civil War for the Rebel Alliance and the New Republic, and you may recognize her from the MMA or from Deadpool, where she played Angel Dust. Comedian Bill Burr even makes an appearance in one of the episodes, who you might know as the creator of the cartoon F is for Family. According to Darren, this series earns 5 lightsabers. Without question. He is sure everyone was probably getting hyped from the beginning because of the visually stunning scenes from the trailers, and wow, did Jon Favreau deliver. Not only presenting us with more scenes with the same excellent special effects we saw previously, but also with one of the biggest pop culture phenomenons of our time, the child, aka Baby Yoda. Darren states that he thought this show was a pretty good recovery from the Star Wars franchise after the mostly negative reactions from Last Jedi in 2017, and the underperformance of Solo, A Star Wars Story in 2018. The Mandalorian is set to have another season in October 2020, like we talked about, but that's not all. Both an Obi-Wan series and a Cassian Andor series are currently in production. You might remember Cassian Andor as the captain from Rogue One who helps get the plans for the Death Star to the Resistance. And there are rumors of a new Star Wars saga starting in 2020. Could this be the next big step for Lucasfilm's golden franchise? Darren says, I don't know, difficult to see. Always in motion is the future. I guess only time will tell. Oh, you funny, Darren. Thanks to Darren for that awesome report. Tune in tomorrow for a really great segment from CCNN's own Alec Wong. That's it for today's Star Wars show. May the 4th be with you, and be careful, because tomorrow is Revenge of the 5th, as well as Cinco de Mayo.
I say patience.
Patience.
Yes.
Do you have a plan B?